Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Hutchinson, and this is the FYE Talks podcast, where we talk about anything and everything related to ECTC and students and ways that can help you, things that you might need to know, things happening in our world, and anything that we can really kind of talk about at length. And so I have some awesome guests here with me today that are going to talk about the Alumni Network, which we're going to find out more about. And then also we have another special guest who's an alumni herself, and I'm going to let her introduce herself in a minute to give us a perspective of, what was it like when you went to ECTC? What are some things you wish you knew? Things like that. So, ladies, whoever wants to go first and introduce themselves, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Alexis. I'll jump in. My name is Megan Stiff, and I am the Chief Advancement Officer for ECTC. And I'm so grateful that you reached out to talk about this topic, because as soon as you said the word alumni, I knew we had to invite Susan to today's conversation. Susan is such a passionate member of our college, even though she has moved on and is a distinguished alumni now, but so active in our community and was a key driver behind establishing our alumni network. And I know through my own journey as a student, as an adult student, trying to juggle work and classes and all of the challenges that come with that, one of the greatest inspirations to me was seeing people who had gone through that journey and who understood what it was like. So I just hope that and know that Susan's experience is going to bring a lot of inspiration and help our students know that it is worth it to keep going, to persevere. And she's a great example of what you can go on to accomplish after your time at ECTC. So Susan, I'll turn things over to you.
Hi, thank you all. First of all, thank you all very much for inviting me. My name is Susan Gifford. I'm the Director of Marketing and Community Engagement at the Swope family of dealerships here in Elizabethtown. And Megan said everything. I am very passionate about ECTC. I literally would not be in the job that I'm in today. I wouldn't have the degrees that I have, and my children would not be the successful people they are if it was not for my foundation built at ECTC. ECTC allowed me to go on to Western Kentucky University to complete my bachelor's degree, and then on to the University of Louisville to complete my master's degree. And it allowed me to advance in the Swope organization to the position that I hold today. So yes, I am a very passionate advocate for our community college. We are very lucky that we have ECTC in Hardin County.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. And so, Megan, Susan, since you were both, such driving forces in getting this alumni network, formed and created, could you give us a little bit of an overview of it and why you're so excited to see this project come to fruition?
Sure. I'll just kind of share the logic behind when I picked up the phone to ask Susan to be part of getting something like this off the ground. My transition to joining the college was really just a few short years ago. And when I came on board at ECTC in 2018, it was just amazing that as the announcement of my position was shared, people came forward, people that I knew and that I thought I knew all about their backgrounds. How many people said, oh yeah, I went to ECTC, or I had such a great experience there. It was just everywhere I looked, there were these positive stories and positive experiences, and just really wanted to bring together a way for people who wanted to stay connected with the college, who wanted to continue to come back and do things like what Susan's doing right now, sharing their experience, or even just sharing their story and what ECTC meant to them. Wanted to have an easy way for people to do that, an easy way for people to let us know that they wanted to receive communications and updates. So we really just started small with an easy way folks can sign up on our website if they want to be part of that mailing list for alumni, because there are a lot of services that can continue from the college beyond your graduation. I actually was just talking with a student this week, a graduate who we were staying in touch, and he mentioned some challenges with his employment and, hadn't thought about talking to our career services director to see if there were any positions that we could help him find while he was waiting for a more permanent role to come up in his career. So, those type of resources, sometimes you just don't think to ask for that, but making sure to let former students and alumni know, whether it's, continuing our library, which is fantastic, or those career services. or just being able to share your story to inspire other students. That's the type of work that we wanted to make possible through the Alumni Network.
Yes, Megan, and I had both professional and personal reasons when you came to me about it. I had both those, blaring in my head about the opportunities that the alumni would present, just to get people first re-engaged with the community college. I think people leave college and they don't understand, or they don't know that those resources, you still are able to use them. I still use the library resources at ECTC, at Ekstrom, at U of L. I mean, there's a wealth of resources outside of the library. I think that people think that the library's opportunities are within its four walls. No, we have the World Wide Web. I mean, there's multiple libraries that are connected within your library, and they are so very helpful. Not only that, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of continuing education. A couple of years ago, because of my Megan reaching back out to me and finding out about opportunities, myself and one of my associates, we took a PDF course online, and it allowed me to be able to change my ads and change my logo placement, because I learned how to use that program to do it instead of having to outsource it and wait on people. I mean, the opportunities are limitless for professional development, but also personally, I definitely wanted to give back. As I mentioned in the intro, ECTC is a great opportunity for anybody. I mean, whether you're 18 years old and you're leaving high school, tuition at major university, at a four-year university, is double what it is at ECTC. If I had to say one thing to a student that is enrolling as a freshman at ECTC, or as a non-traditional, if you are a freshman at ECTC, your financial aid, do not take all the money that they offer you. A lot of money. Let me just tell you, my student loan payments are a house payment. Okay. This is not a lie. It is a house payment. They will offer you more money than you really even need to go to school, especially at ECTC, because the tuition rates are so affordable and the books are so affordable. And now we can go online, and a lot of professors, instructors, they even have online resources. It is very imperative that you not take all of your financial aid money. Please know that you have to pay it back. And, ECTC being affordable and being right there at, your hometown or within reach of your home is so crucial, because then you also don't have the lodging fees that you would have if you go away to a four-year university. So it can really help you, not just immediately with smaller classes and more personal care from your instructors, but it also will help you in the long run financially. I promise you.
Absolutely. And so with the Alumni Network, is it in its beginning stages now, kind of in its infancy? And are you thinking that you're going to expand it and continue to make changes to it as we continue? And what might those changes be? Because I can imagine that the community, people who've gone to ECTC, who felt very impacted by their experience, like Ms. Susan here, I can see them wanting to engage more and wanting to be more involved with the college, and what opportunities might be available for them.
Great question, Alexis. And I'd say where we are now is more just keeping those lines of communication open. Because again, it sounds really simple that we should be able to keep everyone in our community up to date with everything that's happening at the college. But as you know, how much that goes on here on a daily basis, even especially pre-pandemic, even now as we're still largely working in a virtual environment, there is still so much that is happening. And we want to start by helping make sure everyone knows about events, about initiatives, ways they can plug in. So I really want to focus on that communication pipeline. And we've certainly had some challenges and setbacks 2020 and all the curveballs it's thrown us, but that continues to be my main concern over this next year, is making sure that we are thinking about being intentional with our communications to alumni, and also not just sharing things that are generally happening across the campus, but thinking about what former students need to know what those reminders about different services, and just also being more intentional about ways they can volunteer and help, because that definitely is something that's the best I have are when a former student reaches back out and says, I had such an amazing experience at ECTC and I want to do something. I want to get involved. I want to know how I can help. And how we've been navigating those conversations is really just a one-on-one, me learning more about their interests, ways that they could plug into even something like coming on the podcast. So, as we look at how to scale up the alumni network, I think there is a whole lot of opportunity for engagement through events, being able to bring some of our distinguished alumni back to campus to give lectures or to really tap into the talent and the networks that we have through our alumni. And as you start looking at who is our distinguished alumni list is a great kind of starting point to see just the powerhouse folks that started here and link their success back to the opportunities they had through whether it was ECC, ETC, or ECTC. How much really started here and giving opportunities for our former students to come share that expertise. We do have an annual Profiles of Excellence celebration where we induct distinguished alumni through that program. If you ever go into the RPC entryway, you'll see their pictures. You'll see Susan on the wall. Now you know Susan's voice. You'll get to wave at her. Come see her on that wall of distinguished alumni. So we'll be continuing that effort too, because again, we never want to miss an opportunity to connect and follow up with somebody who's doing great things in their profession and communities. And it's just a challenge when we have thousands of students, thousands of lives who have been touched by the college, sometimes to know who's doing what's happening in your field, how are you making a difference? So our Distinguished Alumni Program really helps us keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on with our alumni. And I think there's ways too that our alumni networks, certainly we would love for them to participate in that event annually. It will be virtual for 2021. We're going to move it into the spring and do it online to keep everyone safe. But there's so many ideas. I think 2020 has really made me impatient to get back with the alumni network and get it to the point where I know it can be the place I know we want to take it, which is that bringing folks to campus and really tapping into their expertise and their networks to benefit our current students and also provide that value back to our alumni.
Megan, when Alexis asked this question, I felt that way too, because to me, before COVID, the outreach that we were doing, at the graduations, the high school graduations, I think was really important to reiterate or to bring about awareness to students about, the more affordability of the community college versus the four-year university, and just how much easier it would be because the campus is smaller. And just, there's a wealth of classes. I actually was able to transfer more than my associate's degree requirements to Western because I was able to get those courses on ECTC campus through either their partnership with WKU or with the KCTCS online courses, that are offered through the whole KCTCS system. It was huge for me because it allowed me to work full time, be a single mother, and go to college. I never, ever would have been able to finish my degrees as quickly as I did if I had not have had those opportunities. But also from a professional standpoint, the alumni got me back in touch with people that have actually allowed us through co-op and through collaboration to fill, dire critical needs within our organization here at SWOPE. We've been able to partner with ECTC and fill a lot of positions because of this networking that we have been able to do. So the alumni is both a personal and professional payback for both ways, both for the college and for the alumni that choose to participate.
I love that you bring that point up about how SWOPE has worked with ECTC to connect students to jobs. And I'll just add that one of the best parts of my job too is just having that network and relationships within the community. And about once a week, I would estimate that I hear from an employer just directly, them sharing a need or some vacancies that they have. So all of this is about relationships. And the alumni network, we called it that for a reason, not just an association, but it's a network and understanding what you're trying to accomplish as a graduate of ECTC and continuing to think about how we can help you, how we can make those connections to keep you moving forward to the better life that you want to create. So much of it just starts with, first we have to be in touch. We have to know who you are. We have to know your interests. And the more we can interact, certainly I invite any students that have needs with employment. Certainly we always can refer them to our career services director, but I so enjoy building relationships with our students. And when I know what a student's looking for or trying to do, I've made introductions between students and community leaders to try to help them with employment. I'm thinking this year that was able to get a great job, and I will not take credit for that. She did all the work, but just being able to make those introductions to say, hey, here's someone with a great work ethic. Our companies are all over that right now. And that's just really where I see my role, and the role of this network is to just put the right people together. And it's so fulfilling to see when those relationships grow and everybody's able to win as a result.
Fantastic. And so do you see a lot of excitement surrounding this program in the community? Do you see a lot of community members looking for outlets to kind of say, hey, we want to participate in something that, is outside of the realm of what we do? For example, SWOPE coming in and saying, we're looking for really good qualified candidates. This is a really good place to start. Are we seeing a lot of those kind of relationships, people reaching out for the community for this kind of thing?
I get, like I said, inquiries almost every day from organizations to partner. Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it's a testament to people like Susan that are helping us share the story of the college through telling the story of our students and through telling the story of our people, our amazing faculty and our amazing staff. We've been doing so much more of that from a communication standpoint. So I think beyond just the alumni network, I don't want to speak for Susan, but I just know I'm seeing it's more rare a day that goes by that I don't get an inquiry, just because I sometimes end up being that person that they're not sure where to go to at the college. And I'm happy to do that. I love to be that person that does not have all the answers, but I know all the smart people and we'll figure out together where to go from there. So that's why I'm always happy to work with students and, just do anything I can to help connect them to the resources to be successful. And same with our alumni and our businesses and our partners.
Yes, Megan, as you're saying, I have people within our organization on a weekly basis ask me about opportunities to either, specific ones like our office asking for Excel training or other training that they think that would benefit certain employees in certain departments. But also just Monday, my boss wanted me to change something and called me and he's like, can you do this? And I was like, I sure can. I went to that course at ECTC. Remember the one you paid for me to go to? Well, guess what? I can now make these changes to this document for you. I'll have it back to you in about 10 minutes. So I know, absolutely. He was like, that's really great. And it was so affordable. Like I said, the partnership that we have with the college has really, really, really helped our business when it comes to filling, positions that we knew we were going to have a turnover in just because of people retiring and needing more people or through growth. I mean, some of our rooftops have grown and have needed additional staff, and we definitely have looked at ECTC for that to help fill those.
Awesome. And so, Susan, you've obviously been very positively impacted by ECTC. Can you kind of give the rundown on your story so that other students who maybe are in a similar situation would get to hear that? Because I think it's going to be so impactful and so beneficial for students to hear, hey, it wasn't a straight out of high school smooth sailing, but you ended up in such a wonderful position and now you're giving back to the community, which I think is something everybody would love to do is go through an institution and then be in a position where they can give back their time and, their excitement.
Sure. Actually, I didn't complete high school. I dropped out of high school the third month of my junior year, and I obtained my GED when I was 19, and then I was a mom, so I just stayed at home and I raised my children. But then I got divorced and I went to the college. I knew that I could not afford to support my kids in the entry level positions that I had qualified for, just because I didn't have education. I didn't have an education. So I took what they called a compass test. I don't know if they still give it. That was in 2004, and I scored horribly on the math. I did really good on the reading and the English, and I got to enroll at ECTC, and I got to enroll in college level classes. But for my math class, I had to enroll in courses that were in a course that was a high school level course, because I didn't go through my junior year of math or my senior year of math. So but I will tell you that as soon as that first semester in that first math class, I did so well in that class that my instructor allowed me to skip the other two classes, and he signed off for me to enter the college algebra class that I needed. I mean, I didn't even have an ACT test. I had dropped out of high school before I had been administered the ACT, so I took that at ECTC too. So that allowed me, I scored high enough to be able to meet the standards that WKU had to get into the teaching program. Yeah, ECTC it was life-changing for me. They had course offerings. I can remember going to class either at 7 or 7:30 in the morning and taking a class before I had to be at work. My employer allowed me to get to work 30 minutes late. And I just cut my lunch those days. And I took those classes. I took classes at 7, 8 o'clock at night. As I mentioned before, I took online classes through the KCTCS system. I took ITV and online classes through dual enrollment at WKU. And that allowed me to complete my degree. So I attended ECTC from 2004 to 2007. And then from 2007 to 2010, I finished up my degree at WKU. And I can tell you something, I had to drive to WKU 2 days a week and work full time. And that was really tough. It was really, really hard. I was able to, keep my course load up and just really power through. And I felt really energized at ECTC. But those long drives every, 2 days a week, and, WKU is an hour behind. So I would have some evening classes that sometimes I didn't even get home until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, it was really tough. So that's why, again, I say anything you can take through. And that was when the program just started. Like that partnership with WKU, I don't remember exactly what year that began. Megan could probably tell you, but I entered as many classes as I could with that program being in its infancy to take advantage of trying to stay here and take as many classes as I could. The only way that I can say that I made it, and I graduated with honors from WKU, was number one, go to class. If I see both, and that's like speaking from a parent, because both of my two oldest children entered college while I was working on my bachelor's, and when I was completing my master's. So the biggest mistake that I see students make is not going to class. That can make a difference just from, for example, Gary Stearns teaches history at ECTC. If you go to class, he will allow you to take your note sheet, and he will allow you to write as small as you want to, but he will allow you to write everything you possibly can on that sheet, and he will allow you to bring it to your test, and he will allow you to use it. You cannot have those notes to write on that sheet if you do not go to class.
True.
Uh,
Very true.
when I come to the FYE and I speak to students, I have one of them as an example, and students always look at me and they're like, I can't believe that you wrote all of this on this paper, because there is no white. It is all pencil. But yeah, I mean, and like Jim Murley, his art history class that I took, even on my little Razor flip phone, I would take pictures of those slides to make sure that I could identify what period of time that those pictures, you know, that mural or that piece of art or that sculpture came from, because that was pivotal. If you don't go to class, you're not gonna have those details, and you're gonna really struggle on your test. The next thing is about like being organized. Like, I still to this day, I've been out of, I finished my master's in 2015. I still use this very, very detailed, like daily planner that has like both a schedule, and then it has like my top 3 things I actually have to get done, and then a place that I can write all my to-do stuff. I started using a written planner in because of college. And don't get me wrong, I can type like almost 90 words a minute. I brought a computer, even though it killed me to lug it around. But then after, technology improved, and I had a iPad that, I had a Bluetooth keyboard, and I would take that and I would type almost verbatim, but I would always come back and create note cards or create notes, because you retain things more by writing it down than you do by typing it or reading it or hearing it. And I think that a lot of times students don't think about that. So if you have the opportunity and you can type well, bring something to class to type, or tape the lecture, because we know that like most professors, most instructors still fall back on lecture as their strategy, their teaching strategy in college. I have seen a lot of professors change that up, and incorporate more like group activities and more engaging teaching strategies. But still, college is primarily lecture, and students need to be prepared for that. And I know I've ran on a lot, but like, I just would say this. I took a break between my bachelor's and my master's because I was literally burned out trying to work full time and trying to still be a mom to my kids, and to improve myself through education. Pace yourself. If you take minimal financial aid and you pace yourself, you will make better grades. And I know people tell you employers don't ever look at your transcripts. Okay, but if you don't get the information, then what good is the degree if you don't get it, if you don't retain it? So pace yourself, because you know what? It will pay off for you in the end. 100%. I promise you it will.
Absolutely. And it's so wonderful to hear that your experience, that you overcame so many of these different obstacles that I feel like is very common for a lot of our students. Some people decide, I'm not going to go to college right now. I'm going to wait a little bit. Well, then you come back and you feel like you're behind. And now it's just wonderful to hear that there are so many people who are taking such a stance to say, hey, no, we're going to help you. We're going to guide you. We're going to give you this network of, seasoned professionals like yourself and Megan and other people as role models to say, hey, here are some things I wish I'd known, or here are some things before you even begin that are so valuable and are going to help your experience. And so that's fantastic. And so do you see in your work, and Megan, Susan, either one of you can chime in on this, do you see the impact when you bring in alumni to do these speaker sessions and things like that? Or Susan, when you've spoken at sessions, do you see students really responding positively to these sessions? Do you see people saying like, oh man, I never knew that, or oh, I wish you'd have been around, X number of years when I did this, or something like that? Do you see that positive impact coming from the student body?
I can speak about within my organization. I am a personal person. I much prefer speaking to people in small groups and one-on-one than I ever do getting in front of a crowd and speaking. I never mind sharing my story, but I will tell you that there are There are several people that I've spoken to here at Swope that that know my story, that have gone back to school at ECTC, and then have gone on to either Western or U of L and have obtained their degrees, and they've advanced here at Swope. Yes, I mean, like, that's another reason I got involved with the alumni, is because I want to help people. I'm not arrogant enough to think that academic degrees are a fit for everyone. That's the beauty of ECTC, though, and especially since the new program that they have certain degree pass, or not, they're not degree, but certification pass, that people can get their technical certifications. There is so many opportunities at ECTC. You never know when you are going to speak to someone and you are going to empower them. So I absolutely share my story. I have seen it firsthand here within our organization, encouraging people, and then them taking that opportunity and it really paying off for them, and them actually being able to get other jobs within our organization. I can think of two people right now. Leslie Warren is one, and Amanda Burnett is the other. And it's just huge. I mean, I can't say enough about it.
And I'll just add to that, Susan, you're such a great encourager. No matter where you're going to go, no matter what degree you're going to pursue, just the power of your story, it does make a difference. And I've really tried to follow your example with that in sharing, because I have did not attend DC. I lived out of state and grew up out of state, but been through the very similar experience of trying to work through a program while working full time with kids being the priority to juggle, and currently in a doctoral program, and back to the same challenges. And really just, I think about habits and how really that to me is what education is about. It's not that you're born smart or you're born able to do something, but it's how committed can you be to developing habits and sticking with that when you want to give up, or when you have, I mean, I've done countless homework assignments while on vacation, or like tonight I have a lecture till 9 o'clock or 9:30. And understanding that it is worth it. And I think that means the way I've been able to stay motivated is having those people around me to remind me. And I will frequently tell them, remind me that I thought this was a good idea. Or just checking in with them with a text. Others that I know that are going through their educational journeys right now, checking in with them at certain times of the school year that I know are busy, and just that reminder of this is going to be worth it. We all are in this together. And I think that's what's so powerful about the tight-knit community that's created through ECTC, is that there is that motivation to create a better life, and you have the tools, and you have that network of people around you encouraging you and helping give you ideas for how to incorporate habits that are going to allow you to get through your degree or through your certificate, the best way possible. I'm thinking about a friend, a very dear friend, who has had a very successful career, but was in a situation similar to Susan, in that she hadn't completed her associate degree and was looking kind of later in life about, should I go back to school, or I'm in a good job that I enjoy, but it was one of those things I think that bothered her to some degree, because she's perfectly capable, brilliant person, but just hadn't gone through the process of getting her college degree. So I guess I drove her crazy enough for the last few years about, totally do this, you can do it. And so I applaud all of our students who are listening to this today, because you've already taken that step, and you've already, put your application in, you've already enrolled in classes, you've already overcome so much. It's just about asking for help, finishing strong, and using those habits to get you to where you want to be, because there are there are people who are not doing this. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind, that, you've already done the hard work to get there. It's just about that drumbeat of good habits and staying committed and not quitting. And I say this all the time to my friends. We've got a little Facebook group of us that are all in school together right now, because it is so much easier to do this when you have that support. And we talk all the time about, you can slow down. Like Susan said, if you need to slow down and not, better than anyone what balance is going to work best for you. You can slow down, but just don't quit. Don't quit.
Yeah, don't quit. Don't quit. Because then you've given up every single bit of that hard work you've already put in. You've already given it up.
Absolutely. It's always harder to start a car once it's stopped than when you're going down the road. So
Yeah, I mean, even, and I'm a very organized, very process oriented person. And even the break that I took from 2010 of being in class for my bachelor's to 2012 to start on my master's, it was a struggle for me because you have to really buckle down. And really be, like I said, that planner book that I use, that's why it's got both a column that has, the times, and then it's got a column of to-dos, because if you don't write absolutely everything down, the potential for you dropping the ball on something is very real. And, nobody wants to do that. You don't want to be behind the curve because you forgot some small assignment that, really wouldn't have taken you very long, but now you're having to make up for it, or you forgot to pick something up that you really needed for your family. So yeah, being very intentional, being very committed, giving yourself goals. That's another thing. Like, I've always been a person that I've written down short-term and long-term goals. I usually write them in the margins on my planner, and give myself things, reminders, of, that I might only have like 3 more assignments and this class is done. You have to do those things to get yourself through, so that, you don't give up. But I would say this, there are so many resources at ECTC, through, there's I used to go and get my help with math, and I'm not really sure. I haven't had that need, so I'm not really sure. Megan might have to say what department that is, or what it's called, or where it's at, because it could have moved. But like, I really struggled with math. Like I said, I dropped out of school the 3rd month into my junior year. I only had like freshman algebra. And I obtained help, and I would rework my problems, the same problems. Sometimes I'd rework them 3 times in that resource center. Megan, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, we have our Smile Lab, our tutoring centers. They're there, but I know it's hard for students to ask for help. So I think that's what makes your story such a good example, is you didn't try to figure it out all on your own.
No.
Services that were there.
Yeah, I knew that I wouldn't be able to figure it out on my own, because the math books, I mean, and I'm sure they still do today, they had like every other problem at the back worked. So I could look and see what the answer was, but I could not get to that answer. And like I said, I was just not going to let myself fail again. I wasn't going to fail for my kids or for myself. And I'm very proud to say that I passed college algebra with a B.
fantastic.
Yeah. So, like, there's multitude of resources at ECTC. Just don't give up. Ask for help. Even your professor. I never had one professor that I ever went to and said, hey, I'm really struggling with this, whether if it was, Dr. Hill in French, or, I think Jim Murley went back and got his doctorate. So I think he's a doctor also. But all of them always helped me. They always were open, and they would give me good advice on how I could navigate through whatever issue that I was having with the curriculum. Definitely.
Fantastic. And so it's really great that we can kind of plug some of those resources here, and definitely reaching out about, the WIN Center, that's tutoring. It's a comprehensive tutoring service that we offer. They do math, nursing, A&P kind of classes, science, English. If you have a paper, they can read over it. There's also the Smile Lab and the different centers all over campus that do kind of the same thing, student support services, all kinds of different ways that you can get connected with, other students through peer mentoring to kind of walk you through that, or get connected with alumni who have gone through the whole thing, and even into, their master's and their doctorate programs, if that's something that you want to look into. And so it's been great to hear about this awesome network, and I'm very excited to see what this does in the future. And so, kind of to close here, if each one of you wanted to kind of give your words of encouragement for 2020, because I know we're almost done, but man, we're a couple weeks out, and I just think everybody can use some positivity in their life. So if you guys wanted to kind of wrap up with that, and then we'll let you, Megan, if you want to plug any information about the Alumni Network, and then we'll wrap it up.
I would just like to say, speaking both of 2020 and it will tie in with my experience at ECTC, some of the biggest blessings of my life came to me through the worst mistakes I have ever made or the worst decisions I've ever made in my life. And that is gospel. I mean, it truth. Um, this will pass. 2020, I mean, this is just, we become sharper, we become stronger, we become better through adversity. If we are handed everything that we want or need, then we don't have true appreciation for it. I have the commitment to ECTC. I have the work ethic that I have. I have the appreciation for education that I have because I had to fight to be able to obtain an education. And that was through my own fault, through my own bad decisions. So stick with it, hang in there, utilize your resources. If you need a break, take a break, but make sure that you have the your next time that you revisit it already in mind before you take that break. Hold yourself accountable and just keep pushing along. You're going to do just fine, I promise.
You said that so well, Susan. And the only thing I would add is, just thinking about how to find ways to stay motivated through this process. And I'll share my own silly way of staying motivated with my program is I've got 22 classes I've got to finish up to be considered Dr. Megan, which is still kind of sounds weird to me. But I have a one-page document with boxes for each of those 22 classes. And when I'm done with the class, I go back and fill it in, and I cannot wait. I'm already thinking about how good it's going to feel to fill in those 2 classes for my term that's ending this week. And, knowing that it feels like it's going to take forever when you're in that moment. I get it. It feels like, years of your life, and it's a huge commitment, but thinking about ways you can break it down into those smaller chunks to celebrate and being able to take care of yourself along this journey so you can retain that motivation because, I guess I'm a little bit different in that I saw 2020 as an opportunity. And that's why I decided to go back to work on my next degree. I can't keep saying it'll be the last, but I feel like I just love to learn. And I guess 2020 for me was that opportunity to say, look, life's going to be challenging this year, but it's a reminder that nothing's guaranteed. And if this is a goal of mine, I'm not going to put it off. I'm not going to wait for a perfect time. There is none. And I guess the 2020 has been that I'm not missing out on taking my kids to sporting events, or I'm not missing out on all this traveling we're trying to do. So I think a lot of it's in how you look at challenges and how you look at situations. And I've just chosen to try to set goals for myself, like Susan mentioned. And, if you ever need that push, if you ever just need someone to tell you it's going to be worth it, feel free to call me, call your team.
Me too. Me too. Yeah,
and we will pep talk you through it because that's how I've gotten to this point. I lean on people regularly to help me stay motivated. And I appreciate everything you do in FYE, Alexis, because just having that hub of, again, same thing, people that can get you connected, that can help you get answers, it makes such a difference. And, if you want to be able to stay involved with our alumni efforts once you're through your program, we would love to have you. But my main concern and wanted to appreciate the opportunity just to drive home, keep doing what you're doing because there's many opportunities that you have to quit. You have lots of excuses, things that you could say, things that people would support and understand, but your dreams are too big to give up on, and it's worth staying committed. So I'll share my contact information. I'll literally give you my cell phone number right now. It's 630-341-0555. If you need a text about why you should stick with it, if you need something from the college and aren't sure where to go, or need to connect quickly, feel free to call my cell phone, text me. My office is right in there with Dr. Pate. So anything we can do to help you succeed, that's why I'm part of the ECTC team. And we'd love to also hear from you if you are a former student and would like to join that alumni network. There's actually an alumni tab at the top of our website. So if you click the alumni section under quick links from the ECTC homepage, elizabethtown.kctcs.edu/alumni. There's a link for the Alumni Network, and all you've got to do is just give some contact information so we can put you on that mailing list to keep you in the loop with what's going on. There's also a share your story link. So if you want to tell us about what ECTC's meant to you, I would love to talk with you about how we could share your story, whether through an episode like this, or we do spotlights on social media and our newsletter all the time. We're always looking for people. That's very easy to just to share a picture and a quote and just what you're doing now in your career or personal life. We love to share those stories because, again, it keeps our students motivated. It keeps me motivated. It inspires all of us because that's why we are all part of Team ECTC. It's to change lives. And when you share those stories, it empowers all of us to do this challenging work and inspires us to keep working hard to make a difference. So we really look forward to staying connected with our current students and celebrating with you as you go on to become alumni.
Absolutely, so true. And so thank you guys for coming on the podcast today. It's been super, super informative, super encouraging. And I think that everybody's going to benefit from hearing about this network and hearing your story, Susan, and just kind of knowing that we're all in this together. And so tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for another episode of the FYE Talks podcast. We post routinely every week at 1 p.m. on those days. If you have an idea for the podcast, feel free to reach out to myself at A Hutchinson. That's AHUTCHINSON 0029 at kctcs.edu. We'd love to have you on here and kind of talk about anything that we can to help students and inform us about what's available in our community. So again, thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it.
Take care. Thanks, Alexis.
Mm-hmm.